everybody. Welcome back to the Schiller and Hamilton Podcast. I'm Trent, and today I'm joined with Charlie Corrigan. We're going to talk about medical records as well as medical treatment. So, good to see you again, Charlie.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. So, I just want to ask you, what is the importance of seeking medical treatment if you're in pain from an accident?
So, the importance of seeking medical treatment after an accident can probably be best described as some possible negative effects of not seeking medical treatment. Some of the negative effects, obviously, from the standpoint of just your overall health and your overall well-being, is that there could be steps that are taken by different medical providers, whether it's physical therapists, orthopedics, general providers, physicians, chiropractors, etc., you name it. There could be certain things that are causing your pain, causing your impairment, whether that be inability to bend over, soreness, tightness, just limited range of motion. There could be something that happened in your accident that, whether it was a fall, whether it was a wreck, that is causing the pain. And until you get treated, it's pretty much just a guessing game as far as how to resolve the pain and make yourself feel better. So that's just from a practical standpoint. From the standpoint of your case against the at-fault party, whoever it may be, when a lot of times injured people will take the approach of, I'm in a little bit of pain or a lot of pain, but I got to go to work. I don't have time to run around looking for medical providers. It hurts, but I can live with it. Doing activities that I could do beforehand, worry-free. It's more of a burden, but I'm still able to do it. Basically, the grit your teeth and bear it approach is possibly not the best approach by any means for a claim or a lawsuit against the at-fault party. And the reason for that is essentially, on top of just feeling better, when you go to these medical providers, they take copious notes of what you tell them as far as your subjective pain, what they find as far as your limited range of motion, x-rays, CT scans, MRIs, whatever the case may be. And what those records are essentially contemporaneous notes from a medical provider that corroborates the pain that you're feeling. It's a medical professional stating on the record, so to speak, that you are experiencing this pain for this reason, or this diagnosis is causing this pain, whatever the case may be. So a good way to look at it is, in the absence of that, the grit your teeth and bear it approach, it's not necessarily the case that your pain will be disregarded, what you say your pain is, but there will be an attempt to say, okay, well, I understand that you're saying this hurt, but why didn't you get treated? Because it may have made you feel better. And also, we're not quite sure what areas were hurt, how bad the pain was, if there's something that you could have done to make the pain a lot, less burdensome, lighter, eliminated it entirely. So for those two reasons, seeking medical treatment after a accident, if you need it, is incredibly important. Another issue that a lot of people who are injured have is if they either aren't covered by health insurance or Medicare, Medicaid, then they are concerned that they're going out of pocket and that they won't be able to ever pay back the debts that they will rack up, because medical treatment is obviously incredibly expensive. And that's a valid concern, but it's important to keep in mind that there are certain things that you can do to try to get medical care treatment without going out of pocket. It's difficult, but there are steps that you can take to do that. And you can find these steps just by researching on Google, maybe calling around to free clinics, calling around to hospitals. If you seek the help of an attorney, get your attorney to help you out, and whatever you can do to book an appointment or get treatment. It's really important that you do, if at all possible. And if you can't, you can't. And that's just sometimes an unfortunate reality. But it's important that you do that if you are at all capable. And another thing is, even for people who can afford medical care, are covered by insurance, do have the ability to either pay outright or enter some kind of payment plan that they can eventually not be crushed by medical debt. Sometimes people who are injured even have hesitancy for that because of the same kind of concern. You don't want to be followed around by debt. You're not quite sure if it'll work. And going back to what I mentioned a few minutes ago, you also don't want to take time off work. You're not sure, will they be able to help? I don't really even know what to tell them. How will they be able to find out what's wrong? Is it curable? Is it not? And all these questions and all these concerns can definitely be a deterrent to seeking medical care, but that's an impulse that it's pretty important to disregard that impulse. Basically, this just all goes to say that if you are injured and you're in pain, it's incredibly important to seek medical care if you need it. And if you don't need it, then you don't need it. And that's great. But if you do, and there are those concerns that I mentioned that prevent you from going, just keep in mind that, obviously first and foremost, it's important to feel better if possible, and to, trust medical providers, see what they can do for you. It's their profession. They want to help people out who are injured, who are in pain. And so that's the primary concern. Secondary concern is it really helps out to have medical records that can be evidence in your case that, it's not just your word that you're feeling this pain or that this happened, this guessing what the diagnosis may be. I think it's this, it's that. You can have a medical provider actually tell you what it is. And that will really help out your case. And that's pretty much a long way of saying it's incredibly important to seek medical treatment if possible.
So you touched on about reaching out to medical as soon as possible. But, another thing that a lot of people suffer from is if they have to start to feel better, maybe they have a lapse in their treatment or there's not as much consistency. Talk about how consistency in medical records can be just as important as starting off as soon as possible, because it's difficult to prove why an injury was caused if you wait too long.
Yeah. So just treatment it's really important to, like I just said, get your foot in the door. That's obviously the first step, but it's very important to listen very, very closely to what these medical professionals are telling you to do as far as how you can help yourself. Whether they say come back in a week. If they say come back in a week, go back in a week, period. Unless
even if you're feeling better.
Even if you're feeling better,
that'll prove that anyway.
If you're feeling better, obviously no need to go back necessarily. Probably better safe than sorry. But if you're told to come back for a follow-up appointment, if you're recommended to get an MRI or reach out to a physical therapist or get in touch with a local physician, you need to do that. It's incredibly important because, again, just feeling better, you have to help yourself. Medical professionals, getting your foot in the door, they will kind of set the path for you, but you have to walk down that path. And so, again, feeling better, which is obviously the primary concern always, but as far as any claim that you want to make against the at-fault party to be compensated, if you aren't compliant with the recommendations, follow-up appointments, hot pack, cool pack, stretches, physical therapy that you can do at home, exercise, diet, whatever the recommendations are. And if you go to medical care providers, they will tell you, a lot of times they'll give you a packet of exactly what to do, so you'll have it in writing that you can reference whenever you need to. Listening to them and making sure that you do everything that they tell you to do is incredibly important for your case, because if you are still in pain and it is the case that you did everything that was recommended, made all the follow-ups that you needed to, just, made time in your life despite the inconvenience to really listen to what medical professionals told you and take it to heart and do whatever you can to feel better, and you're still feeling pain, then you did what you could. And the at-fault party is responsible for that pain. Whereas if you missed appointments, if you weren't diligent in doing the necessary steps that you could do on your own to make yourself feel better, and in the case of injuries that you can do that, it's not always the case that you can, but anyways,
It can be turned on you.
yeah, exactly.
For sure. And so
it just gives easy ammunition to say, oh, okay, well, your pain right now is pretty severe. Sure, we'll give you.
Could it have been better?
We'll give you that.
Stay consistent.
Exactly. Yeah. Would it be a 1 though if you did what you're supposed to do? And it just taking away that ammunition before it even gets.
So you talked about the client's responsibilities for seeking treatment, and I want you to talk more about the attorney's position on how you use those medical records to actually build your case. So like if you're in terms of going into a mediation, how would you use those medical records to support the damages?
Yeah, I mean, it's just evidence that we have on our side to verify what you are telling us, and we are telling the defense attorneys or the adjusters, whatever the case may be, are the injuries in this case, or whatever the case may be. It gives us a chance to have physical pieces of paper that corroborate your side of the story. And it's really as simple as that. Without those records, without medical treatment, it's a lot of just taking your word for it,
face value,
and nothing against defense attorneys or adjusters. They're just doing their jobs, but and they wouldn't be wrong if they said, okay, well, who says that this happened? As far as you say you can't, your lower back is in constant pain always. Okay, how did that happen? How severe is it? What are the diagnoses? We don't have anything to go off of. You're just telling us it hurts. I mean, they have no way of knowing, that you're basically just telling the truth. Even if it's a sincere pain. I mean, a lot of it comes down, just like in any case, comes down to proof. And medical records provide proof.
So with everything you've talked about so far, it seems pretty important to seek this treatment. So what is your advice for steps to going forward with this right after that accident?
So first thing to do is get treated as soon as you can. Because first and foremost, like I've said a few times, it really is key to get in as soon as possible, because the earlier you get treated and you get diagnosed, then the more steps can be taken to make sure that you feel better. As opposed to if you wait 6 months, who knows? Maybe there was a small fracture that didn't heal correctly. Maybe there was a ligament tear that just got bigger and bigger over time. Maybe there was a small displacement in your a disc bulge. Who knows? Whatever the case may be. The sooner you can get treated, the sooner the issue can be diagnosed, so it can be handled in whatever way a medical professional finds appropriate. Whether it's doing physical therapy, having surgery, going to a chiropractor,
seeking a specialist. Yeah.
Seeking a specialist, exactly. Whatever the case may be, it's just obviously the sooner you can get in, the better chance you give yourself to have better results and feel better. And as far as a claim or a lawsuit is concerned, again, if you wait 6 months, if you wait 3 months, if you wait a year, then you're weakening your case when it doesn't need to be weakened. You're giving the other side ammunition to say, okay, well, if you were in so much pain, like you say, why in the world did it take you 6 months or 3 months to get treatment? because based on what you're telling me, if I was in that much pain, I would haul over there as soon as I
I'd
could.
live there.
Right, exactly. You're making that argument easy for them. And again, they'll also say, okay, even assuming your pain is as bad as you say, even putting aside the fact that it would make more sense to go as soon as you could to get it helped, your pain wouldn't be as bad as you say it is if you had done that. So we're not on the hook for all this pain that you're feeling financially. You are, basically. I mean, there's a limit to what they will be willing to compensate you for.
So is there a duty to like seek care when you're hurt, and then you can't go and claim damages when you haven't done anything to seek treatment?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just more logic than anything. I mean, it's intuitive. There doesn't even need to be a rule. It's just like, it's just, what would a jury think? You said you've been in excruciating pain for a year. Then why haven't you gone to the hospital? Like, why haven't you done anything to make
If it really is that bad, yeah.
Exactly. And
like detrimental to your life, to your job, to your family,
yeah.
to anything that you have responsibilities towards that you can't do.
Yeah. And another thing is like, if you don't go to some kind of provider and they say, listen, there's really not much you can do, just take Advil, stretch, do what you can to mitigate, but it's kind of there. If there's not a medical professional telling you that and you just don't go at all, then there's no record saying
you ever hurt in the first place.
I don't no. Well, no. Like I wouldn't be able to say, listen, there was a doctor who told him there was nothing more he could do. So yeah, the pain lingered and he still has the pain and he hasn't gone to any specialist for a year. But literally, the doctor told him, listen, there's really not much we can do here. So he's going to listen to his doctor, and he's going to deal with the pain. What else do you want him to do? I mean, because a lot of times that is the case.
It's a tough circumstance to be stuck in if that is the case.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Charlie. This is really great to talk about medical treatment and the first steps, because it's something that a lot of people struggle with. They're so worried about their health, they're not even really thinking far ahead as far as the case goes. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.